Hey, we still had an intro. That's good. Welcome back. This is DadSchooled podcast. I'm Josh. That's Jimmy. Um, yeah, we'll dive right in. We're going to ignore the background and we're going to dive right in. Um, Topic today, Jimmy. Dads struggling and nobody talks about it. Consistency with what we do. Consistency. And what I mean by that is how many times have you had a conversation with your wife or anybody else for that matter? I guess no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be with your wife. And you want to be a good person, right? You want to be a new person. You want to be everything you want to be as a human being, a dad, a male, and you do good for a while, and then you don't. It just drops off, and you're not as good as you want to be. And then eventually, you might stay good for a while, but then it drops off. The same thing. You can think of it as I went to the gym for a long time and then I just stopped going, or I was really good about doing fill in the blank and then I stopped. That's our topic today. Why do we stop? Why do you think it is, Jimmy?
Well, I mean, it immediately just starts going in my brain to the conversations we were having in church yesterday morning. um, uh, some of my experiences of growing up, going to a Christian school, a college, and the number of kids that would be showing up that you could tell kids who um, had the matters of the heart kind of figured out before they would have their freedom, and the kids who didn't have the matters of the heart figured out before they didn't have their parents kind of saying, guiding and directing their path, and then they are out on their own. And some kids would actually absolutely go off the deep end. And so the conversation we were having yesterday at church is it gets to the matter of the heart, and where your heart is dictates the direction of your path so often. And it's kind of like working in a math equation, or you do coding, and so the output you get is determined by the input you put in. And this is a garbage in, garbage out sort of thing. And so what is the status and direction of the heart? It depends on what you're feeding it, what you're putting into it. And so that absolutely feeds into where we end up going as husbands, as fathers, as men in our life.
So you mean you don't wake up and you just want to be distant, inconsistent, passive, or reactive, angry, mean? You don't wake up that way?
Some days I do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Don't want to. Yeah, don't want to.
Right. I mean, I go through spurts, and then, okay, so my wife listens to this. She's gonna laugh. I go through like waves of being really good about doing dishes.
Okay.
It's like my thing, right? It's my thing to do the dishes, and I don't necessarily want it to always be my thing. It'd be great if my kids took it completely over and I have to worry about it, right? But if I don't do it, it stacks up, and then either you got to do it in a rush when you need something, or my wife has to do it. And I feel bad when my wife does things and it delays her when she's already busy doing something else, and I have the ability to take care of that for her. It bugs me, right? So, and this will all loop back. Don't worry. I see your face. You're like, "Where's he going with this?"
No, we're
But so I commit to doing the dishes, and there's some of those dishes that you just don't want to do that night. I do it at night before bed, so it's like you have those big pots, or you have those water bottles that are just not going to fit in the dishwasher, and you don't want to wash them by hand because you have a dishwasher. You should just be able to put things in the dishwasher. So they end up just sitting on the counter. And why this is relevant is I go through periods of time where I'm really good about washing everything, and the counter's clean, and the dishwasher's full and running, and the morning you wake up and everything's spotless and clean and ready. But then I go through times when I start letting it slip, and over time that one water bottle turns into two, that two water bottles turns into three, and it goes day after day of me not doing it because I'm just like, I don't want to do that, and someone else might do it, hoping that they magically just get washed because someone needed them. Um, but then you end up with a bunch of pots or large things that are annoying to wash on the counter. And I was writing this outline, and I was thinking about that over and over again. Like, that is my biggest issue. Is like I'll let one thing in my life start to slip, and
Mm,
because of that, it just starts building up until eventually you turn one day. It's just it's not anything you wanted to have happen. Like, there's a whole pile of dishes there, or I haven't looked at my Bible app to do my studies for weeks now. That's another thing. I'm on this like once a day through the whole Bible in 1 year plan. Right? I have a U version Bible, and I'm going through a plan. And my son's actually doing the same plan. My wife's doing the same exact plan. You can see which where they're at on their days.
uh-huh.
And for a while, we were neck and neck. I noticed every single one of us, and it wasn't just me. I was actually happy to see this for once in my life. It wasn't just me, but it was a pattern that was consistent. One day slipped, and then 2 days slipped, and then you look back, and now it's a week or two has slipped, and every now and then you go through spurts to try and catch back up. But it's like if you don't have that consistency, if you don't stick with it, it gets less important to you.
Mm,
So I guess that's a long-winded way to kind of tie it into all this, but I mean, the same thing with us as being dads and us as being husbands and whatnot is if we're not consistent with what we're doing, it slips and we let it slip and it gets worse and worse and worse. And eventually you turn around and you're not doing anything at all what you want to be doing.
mhm. I know my experience is or kind of my pitfall is I end up playing so much of the comparison game
Hmm.
of
Keep
just
up with the
looking at
Joneses.
yeah, seeing where someone else is like, oh, there's
Yeah.
so much more. Like if you're talking Bible study, oh, they know so much more. I could never catch up and know as much as they do, and so end up not trying even getting all the way to that point like there's just so much to learn,
Yeah.
so why even try to jump in or whatever else that ends up becoming a stumbling block for me that I'm trying to compare myself with what someone else has going on. Then why why even bother? And that's the battle that goes round and round in my head instead of digging deep and putting in the work. And I think back through the things in my life over time that I've been like, okay, I'm actually really, really, really good at this. Just like, I don't know, just for an example, when I was working at Starbucks years ago, when I would get on the espresso machine, it'd be a morning rush, and I'm just whipping through drinks, and that you get to a point in a rhythm where I would set up my workstation. I knew exactly where everything was, where I could just go with muscle memory, not even have to look. I knew exactly where to grab things, and I could just speed through the drinks so fast. But for this example, that was I had put in the work, I'd put in the repetitions, and I had set myself up, organized in such a way that I could excel at a very, very high level. But I didn't get at that point on day one, month one, probably not even year one. I mean, I was there for just shy of 10 years. Um, and so it took years and years of work and repetition to where I could be one of the fastest on my team. And that's like a example to try. I think of from time to time to try to apply to other parts of my life when there's something that seems insurmountable or it's such a huge task. Like I know where I want to be, and I'm just not there, and I want to be there right now. Then I kind of remember, oh yeah, that I think that takes time. It takes reps. It takes practice. It takes actual deliberate putting in the work, and we so oftentimes aren't willing or wanting to do that, and we want to go take a nap.
Naps are fun, actually. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I guess that's are we saying that you have to be perfect every single day whenever you're doing anything? You're trying to strive to have that outcome, to be that person who can be highly efficient at making a drink, at Starbucks, if you're applying it to that in your life. Are we saying you have to be perfect every day? Are you saying that you have to never mess up? Is that how that works?
No, thankfully.
Okay. So how do you get to that point though? Like that you just taking your example, running with your example here.
Yeah.
You set your station up, but you had to go through hurdles and trials in learning in that industry to know to set those things up in that way, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So one day you just didn't wake up and be like, I'm going to set everything up this exact way it's going to work.
Yeah, I think it just seemed like over time, just the more I was in there, it just kind of seemed like this is the way that works well. This is the patterns that I can put myself into, and yeah, it's only by being there and doing it that it starts to
Hmm.
add up.
Okay. So if you apply that same logic to, I don't want to say fatherhood, but being a dad, right? The equivalent would be showing up every single day, being consistent, looking at what works throughout your day as in your interactions. And I'm just like, when I say throughout your day, I was like, poof, you're a dad, go to work, you know, and then that's what you're working on. No, when I'm saying seeing how things work and making tweaks and seeing what doesn't work as a dad, I'm talking about your interactions with your family and your kids and how you're
Mhm.
actually, that's my standard. Because if I didn't have a family or kids, I wouldn't be a dad. Poof, right? Big surprise. So if we're trying to work on being a dad, being a better dad, uh, being the best father we can be, everything that we're adjusting or changing and measuring against is actually our family. It's not how successful we are at our jobs. It's not how much money we've made. It's not how many friends we have, because those are irrelevant. Those will make us a dad.
Mhm.
What we're really uh, testing against would be our kids and our wives, right? If we're being successful, that's what we look at to measure it. So if they're unhappy, that's not success, right? Now they
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily be glowing sunshine happy all the time, because happiness is a two-way street. You can't force someone to be happy. But if if consistently you walk into a room and their happiness goes away, that's when you start looking at, okay, what can we change,
Time
right?
for
And
some
these are
self-reflection. Yeah.
right, right. Have you seen those videos online? I should have had one for us here, but like when the camera like zooms in on a wife in a crowd, and she's like her natural state before she sees her husband. And
No.
there's two versions of this. The first version is like the nice one, and it's like the wife's just sitting there like stone face, and she sees the husband, and she lights up, and she's all happy, right? And it goes through like 5 or 6 iterations, and it's like that's a pretty cool message. Like she's happy when she sees you, right?
Uh-huh.
Then someone came out with another kind of video. It's like the wife is happy and sees the husband, and she's like, and her face just drops. It's a scowl, and that I feel both of those, because there are times I've experienced this. My wife and I have a good relationship. We're happy together. There are times I've seen her like in a crowd, or I've seen her and she looks at me and she smiles. And it's like, that's great. Then there's times where I'm at home and I'm looking at her. I'm just looking at her because, we do that sometimes. We just look at our wives and we're like, I did pretty good. Right. And she looks at me. She's like, what? Why are you looking at me? And just like, okay, sorry. But yeah, so circling all back, you look at your family, you look at your kids, you look at your life in that context when you're trying to see if you need to adjust things. So circling back to what we were just talking about, you in the Starbucks drink industry adjusted your daily routines based on seeing what works and what didn't work. And we can apply that same methodology to, once again, fatherhood, dadhood,
And manliness.
manliness. Well, yeah, man, yes, all those things. Um, Simply by trying something, and if it works, keep doing that item consistently, because I think consistency is a big thing, right? And that's like the whole topic of this whole show today is how to stay consistent. And I think it is repetition over time, but not shoving it down your throat. And if you miss something, it's the end of the world. Like, I'm not sure how many quote unquote diets you have ever gone on or tried to do, or workout routines you've tried to stick to. The number one thing for me is when I get into the mindset, number one way I fail, I guess I should say, is when I get into a mindset of if I miss one workout or one eating, fill in the blank, like I ate one wrong meal, it's over. I might as well give up because I failed and there's no coming back from that. Now, I mean, I guess it's self-fulfilling prophecy if I did give up and I did fail after that one failure, but it's that mindset going into it that you're so strict on yourself from the beginning that if you fail, it's a success or fail. It's not you're working on something that never really flies for me. So I don't know. It's when applying that to household fatherly tasks and duties, like walking into a room and your kids are fighting and you try to stop the fight and parent right in that moment. That's a difficult situation because lots of context can go into that, obviously, in history. But how your kids respond to you, are they responding to you as an authority figure? Are they respecting you? Those things can be compounding. I know people in the past who were 110% about respect. That's all they wanted to talk about. That's all they think everyone should respect them by default because they're the dad. And if they don't get respect by default, they fly off the handle and lose it. And those relationships I've seen have been really difficult for that family because it wasn't a two-way street of like he never earned respect. He demanded it. He never humbled himself to his family. He and if and when he ever did, it was for like a half a second, and then it was once again demanding, "I did this one thing, you must respect me now," and it failed. Big surprise, because that's not very humble to act that way. Actually, believe it or not,
Yeah.
Jimmy, if you didn't know that. So
I think
go
one of
ahead.
the things that kind of ends up being a key is bearing in mind that having those like shortcomings from time to time are okay. Um, like going back to the whole making drinks at Starbucks thing. I mean, why was I there doing that? Wasn't because I had in the back of my head like I want to be the best barista in the world. I'm just gonna show up at this place and do this thing just for the benefit of making drinks fast. No, I mean, why was I there? Because I had a payoff at the end. I had a paycheck waiting for me. I needed a job. I needed income. So I ended up working at Starbucks. And why did I get good at it? Because I had a payoff at the end and realizing, oh, the faster we go, like I could get bonus structure built in
Mm.
with, speed of service score and all this sort of stuff. That encouraged me to stick to it and try to get even better at it. So like looking at being a husband, being a father, um, and putting that into a context of, is there a payoff that I'm looking for? And yeah, looking at how successful my marriage is in our communication with one another and our just how intimate we feel in our everyday life. How successful my own children become as they're growing up, like those are payoffs. And so just like making the drinks at the coffee shop wasn't all about making one single cup, and that one single cup was the gauge of how successful I am as a store manager altogether. You can't just look at that one event. And yeah, there are plenty of days that I would knock over an entire cup, a venti mocha, and it go all over the counter, all over me. And there's still a line of another 20 drinks that need to be made. And I've got this massive mess in front of me. And there, yeah, that flusters you. It throws you off. You still have all the rest of your requirements, commitments that are lined up and ready to go. And there are absolutely days that would, I would be thrown off and I couldn't get back into a rhythm, and I would just, okay, next day, tomorrow, I can jump in and try this again. But it's the same way in our life. Like, you have one hiccup, like that doesn't mean that everything else has to also immediately just be thrown out, and you just throw your hands up and you walk out and you just leave everything else alone because you're now an absolute failure. Sometimes you're a sticky mess for a while, trying to
Mm-hmm.
pick up the pieces and get going in your life again. But you can get to those opportunities where you can stop, recalibrate, get everything cleaned up, and that's okay. Like, I'm probably stretching this analogy a little too far, but I think
Oh no,
it really kind
we
of
can
works.
stretch this further. This is great.
Yeah, no, but it's about, you have that payoff at
Yeah.
the end of, why am I in the Bible app wanting to do this Bible study? Is it because I'm trying to keep up with everyone else,
Mm.
or it's just the one task that's right in front of me and I have to check it off? And this one task determines my overarching success as a man by doing this one task, or is it just one of the many things and there's the ultimate payoff at the end? And sometimes I'll knock that drink over, sometimes I'll miss that Bible study, but overarching, where am I at with my ultimate payoff down the road, with my own spiritual life, with my marriage, with my kids as they're growing up? I mean, we get a lot of years with our kids, and hopefully even more years with our spouses.
Mm-hmm.
And so those payoffs are way down the road, but we can be building toward that now in our life.
Right. And what you're saying there, I mean, you also reapply what you started with from our Sunday school class yesterday. It's where your heart is in this whole matter as well. Like, payoff is very important to think about. But if you're doing it for the wrong payoff or the wrong like reason, if you're doing if you're doing your job just for the paycheck, that's probably not the best. But like you were saying, longer, you're doing it not just for a paycheck, but to provide for your family to have, you know, lives going forward and do things together, right?
Mhm.
Applying it to your household, or actually to the Bible app I was just talking about. I shouldn't be doing that like you were saying to keep up with my son and my wife and make sure I'm on top of always being on day one. I should be doing it to learn God's word. I should be doing
Mhm.
it to further my own understanding of the word and my own closeness and walk in relationship with Jesus. It should not be just to brag about I'm doing this every single day. I'm up to
Mhm.
date. I'd hit my checkbox. That's the wrong mindset. And then circling even further, you know, in your house, if you are doing actions just to be the best dad, that's also not good. You should have a larger view of what your goal is, and it should be focused on raising your kids. Like, I don't know, this might be a shocker to some dads out there. Your goal in life is not to succeed and see how far you can get. Your goal now that you're a dad is to make your kids succeed, not by
Mhm.
force feeding them down the life's pipeline and doing everything for them, but in empowering them and emboldening them to do what they need to do to be successful in their own lives and to further the kingdom of God. That's literally our calling. And if we do anything other than that, it's really and we're not doing that. I guess if we're not doing that ultimate goal of leading our family closer to Christ every single day, um, whatever else we're doing is wasted time. You know,
Mhm.
and that actually, when you do black and white thinking like that, it gets a lot of noise out of your life. Like, how is getting upset about not being able to watch this movie I want to watch tonight? How is that accomplishing my actual goal I should be going for? It's not.
Mhm.
It's selfishness. Um, Selling this one item on eBay or selling this one item so I can make more money. How is that? Unless that money is planned for that ultimate goal, which I guess you could argue that if you're depending on your financial situation, but like stressing about things that you stress about every single day, is it really uh going toward the goal you should be going toward? And if it's not, you need to adjust your priorities. It's easy to say. I mean, I get hung up all the time on people saying you should. We read Bible passages in life group or in the sermon, and it's like give all your possessions up, follow Jesus, die to self. We have these things always pounded into our heads all the time about how we should act and how we should think about life. But then you come back and you look around your house, you're like, I have a lot more than I need. Like my room is full of junk I don't need and I've acquired. Should I feel guilty about that? Should I sell everything I have in my possession just to fit that narrative? I don't know. And it comes back to the heart of the matter. Like, is my heart in the right place doing things? Now, is there a harm in having things in your life that you enjoy doing? No. There's several areas in the Bible that we were told about rest and relaxation. But you need to be careful because these things can quickly become idols in your life, and you can quickly uh, just gravitate toward those items or activities instead of doing the tasks you should be doing. And it feels extremely hypocritical for me to be saying this right now because there's definitely things in my life I should be focusing on more than what I do focus on. And I think that's every single guy has that. Every single person has that. It's called conviction. Like the moment I became a Christian, I felt worse about myself than ever before, which sounds terrible, but it's true. I constantly do things in my life that aren't what I should be doing. But now I feel bad about it and I know I shouldn't be doing it. So, you got to work on turning away from those things and moving forward. That's like a whole different podcast, though, at this point. You start getting down that road. So I guess circling way back to our main goal here in this conversation today, consistency. And how do we get more consistent, Jimmy? That's what we need to figure out before we get off. How can you be more consistent going forward?
I think part of it is giving yourself permission to realize you're not going to be perfect day one. So showing up, putting in that work is obviously going to be step one. You're only going to be a good dad if you're actually present dadding things.
You mean you got to show up to be a dad? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like you could have the title. You could have the title dad, but it's only if you're doing it.
Sorry, and I interrupt you. You're totally right. I had a moment Saturday in the morning at a volleyball competition for my girls. We were standing there on the sideline watching my girls and their teams play in a bracket competition. YMCA is very simple, right? And they were playing, and there was a dad, one family over from us. Man, I wanted to go. I've been thinking about this nonstop. I should have done this, and this is probably a lesson to you and me and every other dad out there. When you see this kind of stuff, step up and go talk to the person afterwards because you're gonna regret if you don't. This dad was jumping up and down, excited, happy, cheering for his daughter. Totally, he was in the motions. He was like, yeah, he was cheering. He was like sad when she didn't get it, and it was so heartwarming and touching to me as a strong male dad, not gushy, but I regret not going and telling him this because I'm not sure if anybody does in his life. I hope someone does, but he was such a good influence to me and everyone around us and his daughter. His daughter may or may not appreciated the attention that her dad was giving her on the sideline, but man, that is it. He had it. He was present. He was in the moment, being the best dad he could be. And it was great to see. Sorry, I just had to say that because it popped in my mind. I still regret that. Next time I see the guy, I gotta talk to him and be like, "Hey, dude, you're killing it at this aspect. I'm not sure we have else going on in your life right now, but right now you're doing exactly what your daughter needs for you, and that's great." So I encourage dads out there to step out of the social norm of being macho and tell a dad he's doing great because he wants to hear that too from somebody else. You don't need to hear it, but it's good to hear it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's good. And actually, I mean, it reminds me of when I was growing up. My older siblings, my brother and sister, they got the athletic genes in the family. Like I did not at all.
No, Jimmy, don't tell me that.
I did not get that. But they both ran cross country in high school. And so as the younger sibling, like I went to it was like every Saturday in September, October, like we were somewhere at a cross country meet running around in the woods. So I just loved going out and playing in the woods as the little brother. I just go and like, okay, I'm just going to wander off in the woods. That was what I enjoyed. But anyway,
explains so much to me.
My dad was known amongst all the other athletes and all the other parents. My dad had this just booming voice. I mean, maybe it just comes with being a Southern Baptist pastor, but he would be out there and he would figure out like what the trail that they were going to be doing the race on, and he would try to strategically figure out, okay, if I start over here, then the race is going this way, so then I'm going to cut over here. And he would try to get it as many locations if he could be next to the track and encourage the athletes as they're going past. He would try to be next to it. But if he couldn't be right there, then he would go, okay, here's a big like opening across the field and I can see him. So then I can yell encouragements to my kids, first of all, but then he would make sure he knew the name of all the other athletes on that team of the high school that we went to. And he was just known for being this encourager for all of the athletes that were on that team. And that always stuck with me. Like he didn't like come across as embarrassed. That didn't, it like fed my brother and sister in their pursuit, knowing that they had their dad's back and their dad's support. And then he was kind of oftentimes known as like a lot of kids' second dad. Like they just like, man, your dad's like so encouraging. Like he remembers me, and he helped push me along. Like I didn't feel like I was going to get it, but your dad, I could hear him all the way across the field. And that's always stuck with me. And I mean, there's absolutely days that I could be a much better encourager for my own daughters, whatever they're up to in life. And it's not the sort of thing when they're in their dance recital. There's a ballet routine. It's a little bit different, you know, but no, absolutely, just being present and the impact it has, the pride that it gives them in a good sense of feeling fulfilled in their accomplishments, and when they're down and when they're struggling, knowing that my encouragement can help them want to push that last mile to get further on down the road. Those are lessons I've tried to remember and tried to incorporate it into my own life, and I can improve. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, you can definitely. No, I'm joking. You can definitely improve, Jimmy, man. No, that's a good thing to keep in your head. Like that guy was reminding me, like I need to be like that. Even though my daughters are embarrassed and like, stop it, and they yell at me for it. It's like, you know what? I'm feeding them whether they want to be embarrassed or not, because they're 12 years old right now, both of them. So they're in the age where no matter what, you just look at them and you embarrass them. You can't help it. And as a good dad-blooded dad, I could say it's my job to embarrass them and not like scar them for life, but it comes with the rite of passage, you know? So closing this up, Jimmy, I think not letting yourself feed into the narrative that you have to keep up with other people. That's like a very important thing in this whole talk. You don't need to keep up with other people. You need to focus on what's important. You need to keep centered on what your duty as a dad is. It's to bring your family closer in a walk with Jesus. That's literally our jobs. We are the leader of the household. We're supposed, whether your wife is strong-willed or not and has decisions that we also have to adhere to, that's irrelevant, because you are supposed to be the spiritual leader in the family. And you can allow your wife to make decisions on what the grocery bill is or what the house next task you're going to work on. That's not being a leader. That's being a good husband and partner and working with your family. So don't get all bent out of shape if your wife has an opinion also, because she has a right. she's one flesh with you, and once again, whole nother podcast on that. We should do that one actually. That'd be fun. Maybe it'd be fun. I don't know. Repercussions might be brutal on that one. Because I'll probably say some stupid things.
Those make the best.
Yes, those make the best. Yeah. So circling back once again, I like to circle back a lot. You have a job as a dad, being consistent with that job, small little tweaks here and there. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to be perfect. Being present is like the biggest thing. If you're not present, you can't be a dad. You can't send $20 for there's absolutely no way you can think in your mind, I can be a good dad sending $20 for birthdays and not living at home. That's not going to be a good dad. That's financially supporting your family is not everything. You need to be there emotionally. You need to be there physically. You need to be there to demonstrate to your son or daughter how a dad is in that role. Because when they grow up to be a daughter, be a woman, if your girl is going to marry, she's going to look at how you treated their family as the expectation of how their husband should treat their family. Hopefully, they're not looking at how you treat your family and they know what not to look for, because that's the worst thing, right? If you're that bad of a father that you do so many wrong things and you're not present, that they have a standard of what not to look for now. Or worse, they think that's normal and they're just screwed the rest of their lives. Same for your son. Your son should know to open the door for people. They should know to walk with their spouse on the inside and safe from traffic and not facing traffic. There's lots of different things as dads and males that we should be teaching our kids. And your son should pick up on those things. He should pick up on encouraging people, on being that overzealous down the sideline. Not because you're going to sit down and awkwardly tell him this is how you should act. He should see your actions, and that should add up to this is a good person. So
the number one test for telling the character of a person in today's day and age, the shopping cart test. What do they do with the shopping cart when they are done shopping out in the parking lot? Do they just shove it up over on the curb that is 5 feet away, or do they walk the 20 feet to put it into the cart corral? Do they let it wander off and run into other people's cars? Do they go ahead and roll it into the building on a cold day because they think, the employee maybe, or, I only have 3 bags. I can carry the 3 bags to my car. I'll leave the cart inside so that employee doesn't have to go out in the snow and the ice. The shopping cart test is the number one test in today's day and age of a person's character.
So tell me, Jimmy, if you were a employee at, let's use Walmart, for example, right? They have employees.
They have a few shopping carts.
Yeah, they have a few shopping carts. So as a Walmart employee, I'm not saying that this is how you should act at a job, but if you were an employee there and your task was to go out and get the shopping carts, mind you, the weather probably highly affects how you feel about this job, right? If your job is if your task right now was to go get some shopping carts and bring them in, and it's raining, it'd be a different story. If it was a nice day out, it'd be, day or night, it'd be okay. Would leaving the shopping cart in the shopping cart corral be helping that employee be able to get out of the crazy job and go enjoy yourself in the parking lot? Or is that bad to think that way? Because I'm like, I can think of it both ways. I used to work in retail, at an actual a store. I used to work at actually Walgreens, and we didn't really have shopping carts really. But I remember whenever it was like go out and pick the trash in the parking lot, I was like, oh, right. Something out of the norm of standing at the cashier's register is kind of fun. Maybe it's not for everyone. I don't know. That's kind of a weird way to think maybe. But I was just listening to what you're saying, like put it all the way inside. I'm like, but then they don't have anything to go outside for.
Because there's other tasks to be done. This comes from my retail management. Like,
I guess
that's the last thing you need your employees spending their time on.
I'm thinking of their emotional health in their heads and be like, yes.
Oh, so they can go flip around on their phone in the parking lot and like not get back to work. Yeah, that's another character test right there. The kid who like runs out and like I got so much to do and I'm gonna rock it all. or the kid that's just like sitting in the cart corral, leaning against the carts, scrolling on their phone. Like, okay, yeah, that's another character test right there.
I guess we did that character test right now and I failed, I guess. I'm like trying to help them slack off and you're like, be more efficient.
Yeah.
So my option for car is just like run as fast as you can down the center of the road and let go of it and see where it goes.
Those are fun. Get it the top of a big hill and climb in. Like those are good childhood memories right there.
All right. So we didn't mention this, but if you happen to find us and you liked what we talked about, or you didn't like what we talked about, we like feedback either way. If you want to text us, or if you want to email us or message us and tell us your show is terrible and you should buy my product and we can help you, yeah, I'll delete that message. That's fine. Send it to me. If you want to message us and tell us anything encouraging or not encouraging, that's fine. I'll read it. I'll reply to you. But yeah, at DadSchoolPodcast.com. You can go right there and you click on all of our links. This is streaming live on YouTube right now, but it will be uploaded to Facebook. And that's about it, because every other platform is kind of weird with free accounts. And we're not spending money right now on this. It's just a fun hobby. So, yeah. Jimmy, closing thoughts on being a good dad. You can't say be present because I already said
that. Yes.
Do the things. Stuff.
Do the things.
All right. Until next time. It might be next week. It might be the week after that. Who knows with us? Consistency.
That's right.
All right.
We've got some lessons to take. Yeah.